Alright, so today's video is basically on how to somewhat safely remove the mainspring on this. There are a bunch of different ways or reasons you would want to do that. One reason is that for whatever reason your firing pin on the front over here is damaged and is not doing what it's supposed to do, so you have to replace that. Other than that, your spring itself, after a certain amount of shots with it, there is a compression that happens on the spring, at least according to the manuals. And that could obviously require a new spring. So you take it apart, you measure your spring, and if it's 25 or 26 inches, I think, it's condemned the spring. Usually it's 31, 32 inches to start off with. So those are a couple of the reasons. Another reason is sometimes the people who don't know what they're doing with these things in the back there. On this, they leave it open when they fire it, which causes a whole bunch of damage on the part there on the ring that locks it. So that could require removal of the spring so you can work on the actual part without all that crap in your way. So there's a few different reasons to do it. There's nowhere in the manuals that we normally find information on. I can't seem to find any of the REMEs or whatever the hell they call them. Yeah, I think they're REMEs. Books on how to do the actual work on this thing here. Any armorer's books, none of that I have found. I'm still trying to look for them, but so far it's all been dead ends. Yeah, so I'll get right to it. Basically, you're gonna have to be able to build or use a device that compresses a spring and locks it into its compressed point. Because, have you noticed the firing pin itself? Two flat spots, so you basically have to unscrew the firing pin on it. Problem is, it's under spring tension. What you have is the firing pin, which is bolted to that, and inside there's a rod, and that rod is what allows you to cock the piat, because in the middle here you have no real connection point. So what it is you got a small rod inside the rod that's there that you see in the spring. It's unfortunate that it's a big piece of shit, this, so I can't really show everything on screen all the time. But anyways, in that rod, there's another rod, which goes right to the end of it. And you'll see it a little bit better later. And this whole piece from where my finger is to the front is the firing pin bolt setup. So that's what basically the only thing that keeps these two together is that little rod that's inside it. That's inside that tube there. And that rod goes all the way to the end and screws into the firing pin. Now, obviously the firing pin is also screwed to this rod. So to start off with, you have to compress everything so that the rod inside is loose. Then you unscrew these two parts here. And then you're able to pull out the firing pin a little bit and hold on to the rod that's underneath and unscrew that. Once that's done, you could release all the pressure on it, and that allows you to separate all the pieces of it. There is one other thing you have to be careful for, and you never want to fire these things and use them and pull on them and everything until you've checked it technically. And it's that little rod that I was talking about that's inside the firing pin. If it's unscrewed, if somebody didn't install it properly, someone's been messing around with it, it could be almost completely unscrewed. So when you go to pull on the actual piat, only a couple threads will be attached, and you could rip them out, which would cause damage to that little rod and a replacement required. So I'll go right now to the actual build, the disassembly of this. I'm just going to disassemble it. I'm not going to show you how to put back together. It's just the reverse. And the tool that I made and use for it, very simple, just needs to be, we need a tool. There's no way that you could do it without one. So without further ado, I guess, let's make this video. But I basically just got a piece of ABS pipe, made a couple holes in it, so I could put something like a screwdriver or rod through it. In this case, I'm using a screwdriver. On the back, another couple of holes where I'm going to put a rope. And the whole spring assembly goes in. You're able to compress it with this, lock it all off, and then unscrew it safely, and then release the pressure on it safely enough. So next I'm going to just basically go to the whole assembly in this, because it's a little fiddly or a little bit of a pain in the ass to put into it properly on camera. So we'll go to that next. Alright, so as you can see, I got it all put into place now. It's something you should be going quicker with, because in this case you really can't trust the pressure on it. But next, now that the pressure's off the front end, take a couple of Westcotts or spanners or whatever you have that you could use, and you unscrew it the standard way. So all right. Now you got the last little bar here that's left, and that's the same idea. You should unscrew. Just a little bit of pressure on it. This is overkill, but that's all I have on there right now, because I don't want to go back downstairs for another piece. Next, you see, now the whole thing is disassembled. Now if I release the pressure on this, it'll all come apart, including the spring and everything. So we'll do that now. That's completely clear. That was a rod going down. I'm just pushing down from the top. You won't be able to see this, but it's just to get these two screwdrivers out of here. All right, that released. Everything should be, at this point, taken out. So I release this thing if I can. I should grab something to put underneath this because it's a mess, but instead I won't. So I'll just move it forward. Slide. This out. Slide this out. And can see, I'm going to need to clean it all up. Everything is now taken apart that I need taken apart. And I could unscrew here to like take the rod out. So I could do that just for the fun of it if it works. But that's how you basically take the anyways, my hands are all greasy, but that's basically how it's done. All right, so I hope that showed you guys how this is done. I took the time just to clean it up a bit. I checked the length of the spring. It is 32 inches approximately. Front end is fine. The connecting points to it are all okay. So technically this bolt setup for me is safe to use. So when I build a few more rounds, I will test it out. I have a few more things to fix on this one here, but in the meantime, it is fireable at this point. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope it helped. And if there's any questions, comments, obviously leave them down below. As I said, sometimes I try to get videos made, but I really just don't have the time sometimes. So I apologize, but I don't have the, I can't guarantee times for that. That's why I don't monetize my videos. I don't do anything with the videos. It's really just a hobby at this point in time and a way to document things that nobody else seems to be documenting. So hope you guys enjoyed this. And if there's any questions, like I said, just leave them below. Thanks.